Hello, friends. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. It's Wanyiha Jean Dutz back again with another video. And today is an interesting one. We are talking about rejection. And I know a lot of us feel like they have gone through it and they have grown through it alone, because rejection is a crazy spirit. It's the kind of thing where you look at a person and you think this one could never, they could never understand. They don't know what I've gone through. And yet the person perhaps has battled rejection or the feeling of it. Yeah. So it's like a battle. So welcome. Let's do this once more. So today is a beautiful day in Worcester. It's the sun is coming and going, and it's been raining a bit. It's truly spring. We are getting into the thick of summer, and it's just beautiful to see the seasons. Yeah, so I do love to dwell on the seasons. I do like to watch the seasons, especially here as they change. Like now the trees are filling up, and as a kid in Kenya, I enjoyed watching the jacaranda tree filling up and then shedding, because we would pick the leaves and blow in them. Yeah. So thank you for joining me once again. And if you're watching this, I know perhaps you feel like you've gone through it and it must have been difficult dealing with it. Yeah. But today I want to acknowledge you and tell you that it's true. Rejection does happen, and it has happened to so many of us. Yeah. And as a person who experienced rejection a lot, it seemed like a very mysterious thing because you could not even explain. Yeah. And most times you think it is you're the one who has done something to cause that rejection. And by the time you grow to a place where you feel like you can demand better or expect better, because as you change your mindset, you see the reality in your world changing. Yeah. But the way we grow up, and this is a good time to talk about this rejection after the last video where I touched a bit about connection, attachments. Yeah. And I mentioned that personally I connect fearfully, even avoidant. Yeah, like when I see things are not working out okay, I can be very avoidant. Yeah, just removing myself from the place. So I'm sure you have experienced this, where you go to a place, even churches. Yeah, and you're thinking, so now I'm ready to serve God. I've come, even bearing a gift perhaps, or just offering your time to serve. Yeah. And then you find yourself, it's like you have to fight for yourself. And it's everywhere you go, whether it is in the church or, workplaces. So you're wondering, is this thing that I'm bringing not needed? But I have you to know today that the Lord will not allow you to settle in the places where you will not be celebrated. So why will you not be celebrated in these places, and yet other people are getting celebrated? I will tell you why. So sometimes, because all this thing is a process, yeah, God is processing you through various places. And some people you see thriving in some places you go into have already arrived, right? So that is their place. They have come, they have settled. And if you look at their lives, it's like they're always in the correct place. But you have been chosen to break some chains. And these chains may have been dwelt in your family for so long, yeah? And some, unfortunately, and I don't like talking much about this, but this is the truth. Some of these chains are caused by witchcraft or just spiritual machinations, yeah? So some things may have happened in places where you didn't even know, yeah? Your name may have been mentioned in places you don't even know, but this happened so that you could be destroyed, or something that was seen in you could be stolen, right? So it is like a weapon that is fashioned against you. And what does the Bible say? Though the weapons may be formed, they will not prevail, but they will be formed, right? And when weapons are fashioned against you, you will feel it. You will feel the pain, you will feel them working against you, but at the very end, they will not prevail. So what happens when you're set up for rejection in your life? And I have to say this, it is not always about the people rejecting you. It's all like they have prior knowledge of who this person is, and we are all planning to reject them. It is a spiritual thing. The Nigeria says, once you're charmed, once charmed, always charmed. Meaning, if something was done to you spiritually, it will always affect you. Yeah. And now in some instances, because this is not exactly mentioned in the Bible, rejection isn't exactly addressed in the Bible, but when we look at the children of Israel, we see a thing of being cast. Yeah. Think about Jacob and his children. Yeah. A guy of trickery. His mother led him to trick his dad, into blessing him. And he did, So he got a blessing out of trickery. When he was in Laban's home, Laban tricked him into marrying Leah and, made him work an extra 7 years just to get the girl he wanted, Granted, he got his girl before the next 7 years, and then he had to work 7 extra years. So when the time came for them to separate and Laban even acknowledged, for sure, you have worked for me and you have brought me a lot of wealth, and I could let you go. But he had these reservations, and so even when they were dividing their property, Jacob tricked Laban, and made sure he went with a lot of livestock. And he was tricked later in his life, even by his sons, So we see him being tricked out of his favorite son. And yes, these children may have felt so much pain seeing their dad love their brother more than he loved them. And knowing perhaps maybe Leah mentioned something that this man has never loved me, or maybe he was tricked into marrying me. They knew they were not their favorite children, So they must have felt rejected. And so you can tell that this is a family that was already in some sort of spiritual machinations. It was not correct. There was so much that was wrong, and we see even Jacob at the end of his life, he cast some of his sons like Simeon, Levi, and Reuben, such that the time they were being taken out of Israel, and I'm going way ahead of myself here, but it's because I just want to share some comparison. By the time they were being taken out of Israel by Moses looked at the clan of Reuben, and he was like, no, these people are operating under a curse. Just the same way Jesus looked at a woman, an infirmed woman, and he was like, no, daughter, you are loosed out of this infirmity. Because let me tell you, some people, you will look at them and you'll be like, this poverty is not normal. It's not like people growing out of a place into another place. No, it looks like people who are abandoned and forgotten. So imagine a child from this home having seen the mindset of their parents, always talking about other people as superior. If they have a court case, they're thinking the other person has to win because who am I? If they can't even speak greatness into their children. They have very few tender moments because these are parents who are struggling. Perhaps you've even been raised by a grandparent who is struggling. So you see generations of pain. How will you think of yourself as better? So even when you go into the world, the way you attach to people, you're so fearful that these people may be rejected, may reject you even in the future, because this has been your story. This has been your history, right? But then without you knowing, God is setting things in motion for you to break the chains for your family, mostly, to break the chains off of your family so that things can get better in the generations ahead. Both science and both science and spiritual matters, it takes 4 generations for something to change. This is because you're intermarrying with other people. In every generation, you meet other people from other families. When you come together, something is bound to change. And you find that by the 4th generation, a lot has changed. Perhaps the kids in your family have gotten more education, more exposure, and one of the ways that God uses to break these chains of family is by relocating you to a different place. So that is why if you find that you're suffering in one place, you're like, now it's like a frenzy in Kenya. Everybody wants to live, Everybody wants to go somewhere they can do better, they can get a chance. It's because so many families have suffered under, poverty and, just not prevailing Yeah. And if you look at the position you have in your family, perhaps you're the third generation, let me say, because things have moved along a lot, you know. And as people get out of this chain, some are getting into them. It is cyclic, yeah. And so you find God sometimes chooses a person, like think about David, think about Joseph, yeah, to come and break people through. But in the process, the things that you go through are breaking you, such that wherever you go, you have this disposition, yeah. People can attack you. People will make you the victim. Like think about Joseph coming the whole way to Egypt and being accused by Potiphar's wife that he wanted to rape her, you know, knowing very well that Joseph had no ill intention. She never had a reason to feel unsafe around him, but she accused him. But everything that is done against you, it is leading you to a better place, yeah? A better place could be a prison today, but God is using that route to break you through. And it might feel like it's taking forever, you know? So when you're rejected, think about it as redirection, because even though you go into that prison, you never know who God will use to speak your name in places where you could never venture if it had not been you know, through such circumstances of suffering. Granted, you would ask, like personally, I ask about Joseph. Why is it that he didn't do excellently well? Potiphar's wife loving him, and then, you know, the Pharaoh now discovering him through Potiphar and being like, I need you to give me this servant. Perhaps it's because Potiphar would never have let him go, you know, or he could never be exposed in that manner. So he has to go down. And that is why you hear sometimes for an arrow to be shot, it has to be pulled back, right? So it's like that with you. Sometimes you'll go through so many places, you get rejected, you know, and even you become the rejecter, yeah? Because one thing I know about people who get rejected a lot, now they become the master, yeah? They begin to survive that, you know, things that you don't think somebody will survive, they begin to get used to that. But then they have this coping mechanism that will not be helpful in the end. Sometimes in those periods where you're just looking for a place to belong, you might tend to talk too much, you know, over explain yourself, yeah, you know, be so fearful that you become like there's no appeal in you, you know. But it is in those moments that you get sharpened, yeah. And also God sometimes uses people to reject you so that you can move along, right? Because if you're accepted by some people, my friend, you will dwell in those places, you know, and miss your purpose. But God has called you into something. He wants you to do something. He wants to accomplish a purpose through you, not just for yourself, but for other people as well. And when you get there, you will see now, you will think, oh my God, I've worked so hard. Now I'm seeing the results, yeah? And yes, it's true, you've planted all these seeds, you've paid all these prices, yeah? But it's God giving you back for everything that you have done. You have served him, you know, sometimes unknowingly, yeah? And in that process also, you will struggle finding yourself. You will think, oh, this is what I wanted to be as a kid. But God has redirected you so much. Perhaps whatever that was shining in you as a kid, perhaps you wanted to sing and you used to sing and expose your talent even before time. And the devil was like, no, I cannot let you be this, you know. And so you struggle with this thing. It's inside of you, but you never see yourself becoming that, yeah. And yet God can use another way to just make you as great and even greater, because when he blesses you, it is a good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over. He is a faithful God once you get the knowledge, yeah. So at some point, I feel like rejection is a good thing, because when people reject you, they can't come back to claim that we did this and this. But people have guts. People do that all the time, yeah? But it also teaches you exactly how the world is like, you know, what the devil has been doing in the secret places, you know, destroying you. Rejection is also good, because when you're rejected, you go to your knees, you seek for the Father, because most times you're embarrassed, yeah? So you go hiding in the secret places, asking God to help you through, because you will be rejected so many times that you feel, Kweli, this way, I can't win. I can't win with people. Even when you go before people, you are embarrassed to show your face, because you know what is coming. They will reject you. They will talk about you. They will shun you, yeah? But then in you, God is building a warrior, such that you will come to a place where even when they reject you, you still thrive. You're still okay because you know who your God is, yeah? And you understand that the journey has gone like this so that you're able to stand on your own, and win the battles that are ahead of you, and also develop a way of winning, develop a skill of winning, yeah, knowing how to deal with situations. Because let me tell you, if you dwelt in some places, you would just be me. You would never be your true self. You would never be your higher self, yeah? And this whole journey is about pursuing the higher self, yeah? And becoming the person that God intended you to be. So rejoice in rejection, rejoice in affliction, because it is sharpening you, yeah? It's drawing out what you are, who you are, and who you were made to be. Sometimes you think, oh, I miss this. Like for me as a kid, I used to love singing and I thought I would be this great musician, yeah? And sometimes I feel like I've veered off too far from what I thought I would be. But every day I realize there's some things that have been so consistent, and perhaps that is what God is using to bring me to greatness, yeah? Once I've arrived where He wanted me to go, and that is why the Lord says, I have gone ahead of you to make the crooked way straight. Though some things were destroyed, even in your family, though some things were broken, yeah, though some things were stolen. The Bible in Proverbs 6, it says, though the thief steals, yeah, when he is found, like nobody worries about the thief when he steals to satisfy his hunger. But if he is found, he will pay 7 times, even though it costs him everything he has, So everything that is stolen, just like the story of the locust, everything that is eaten off you, everything that has been unfair, you paying more than you even could afford, yeah? You losing more than you could afford to lose, yeah? You getting so lost that you didn't think you'd find your way. The Lord is still in control. The Lord still has His eye on you. So you run to the mercy seat when you're rejected, because He will show you great and mighty things that you do not know. He says, call unto me and I will show you great and mighty things that you do not know. So when you feel lost and when you feel like, I don't even know where this is that I'm going, yeah, He is able to direct you. He is able to show you a new thing that you do not know, yeah. He is able to bless you abundantly, more than you could ever think is possible, yeah. And now you will start changing your mindset and thinking, if this is for me, then there's more that can come out of me, yeah? And because God is generational, you will not only see what is enough for yourself, but even for your children and your children's children. So this thing of even finding favor with God and men is a process. Perhaps there were days that you didn't have that. You could never even imagine having it. But you find yourself along the way able to enter into those realms of blessedness, yeah? So do not fear, do not panic. If you're rejected, go before the Father and tell Him everything, because He's the closest friend you will ever have, yeah? And when you're on the other side, you will bless the people who rejected you. You'll be like, it is good that I was afflicted, so I may learn His decrees. Because had they not rejected you, you would never have come into the knowledge that breaks you through, yeah? So it is good that you are being rejected right now. It is good. And when you see other people, being blessed and their children being blessed, ask yourself, where in their lineage are they? Perhaps somebody worked so hard to break them through and now they're enjoying that, yeah? I do believe that my generations ahead of me will have a smoother road, yeah? And even my family that comes after me into this new land will have a smoother road, because we have paid the price. Was it easy? No. Is it easy now? It is not. Every day we are learning and discovering, and even forgiving others and forgiving ourselves for what we did not know, yeah? And even as we step to the places, we get surprised by God sometimes, yeah? He will take you to places and surprise you. And you wonder, what did I ever do to deserve this? It's because He's keeping His promise, that Abrahamic promise, yeah? So when you're rejected, and when you find that you cannot even be secure in your relations with others, just know that there's a place that God is taking you. The reason why he didn't want you to attach to these people is because you are not yet ready. Yeah, he was still sharpening you, and he was still showing you things that you did not know. Yeah, so you will come to a place where you find your tribe, and once you start finding this acceptance, you will realize that you have a say. You have strength, you attach better, more securely. It is in this journey that you work out your attachments. Yeah, and though you will learn these things even in psychology and think, oh my God, this is a whole new, this is the whole thing about the process of becoming. It is true. It applies everywhere, but just having God on your side, then even if you're not running to therapy, you have him to run to, and he teaches you in all the situations. Yeah, he shows you why, and even after all is said and done, he will show you why you had to go through what you had to go through, and you will say, like David, it was good I was afflicted, that I may learn your decrees. So I have to leave you now. May God bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, and give you peace, because that is very important. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.